Okay, here we are. Second,
Yes.
we're having a little bit of a late start with everybody, so we're adjusting a little bit here. Anyway, welcome to another episode of CAV HQ Live. I am your host, CAV Boss, with my faithful companion James. How are you tonight, James?
I've been busy today, busy, but now's my time to relax and have fun and talk about something I want to hear about.
Well, good. I've been rather busy today too. So every day, my life is a CAV life. Every waking
Telling you.
moment.
Yeah.
Between day-to-day things and keeping this terrain project going on and
Mhm.
all that good stuff. It keeps me going. So we will give everybody a few minutes to show up. Hopefully everybody can hear us.
I can hear
Oh,
you.
there's the hobby habit. Apparently he can hear us.
Or he's just messing with
Either
us to the
or
extreme,
he's
but
just reading our lips.
yeah.
I'm gonna tease him, make him think that
Uh,
that we can hear them. Oh, so
and
got started on the Cossack Monday night, I heard.
yeah. I just got the sort of the base highlights down on it, the underpainting.
Right?
I think this upcoming Monday I'm going to go in and spray the turret olive green and then hand paint in the orange, and then start highlighting and um, manually put in some go back into the turret where I painted everything green and manually paint in the gray highlights again and then do the orange over the top of that so it has the same values as the chassis
Right.
highlight. And do you have any advice for how to, so with a tracked tank, obviously metal tracks, rust, whatever you decide to put on that, how do you paint the nacelles on a grav tank? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I guess it would be, I've seen a lot of people do them kind of light blue, kind of a
Hmm.
deal. But I really wouldn't think that there would be any kind of, it's not like something coming out of the back of a rocket ship.
Yeah.
There's no
I mean,
exhaust,
there.
there's no nothing there. It's a, I would to me it would be kind of like, watching the Luke going across the desert in the land speeder. You just kind
Right,
of see
right.
this rippling of the air underneath it from the magnetic effect or gravity or whatever it is. But I don't know that it would be, I guess they would glow maybe.
Okay.
Maybe yellow or like I said, I've seen a lot
Yeah.
of light blue used on a lot of grav
Mhm.
tanks. Um, So, I would think that it could be a light, some kind of a, bright something that it lights
Mhm.
up with, I guess. So,
So normally with a vehicle, I wouldn't pay a ton of attention to the underside of the
right,
vehicle because you're never going to see it once, especially if you base it.
right,
But that grav tank is probably going to sit up on one of those plastic hover flying
right,
bases that you
right.
sell. And so you're going to be able to see the underneath it a little bit. So I've got to pay attention to it, which I normally wouldn't with the tank. So I've just been kind of brainstorming about what I should do with those. I'll probably just keep it
Yeah.
simple, a little light glowing effect, some edge
I
highlighting,
know that
things like that.
Ross has done some Lion 2s, and
Mhm.
I might be able to, I'm sure that, I think it's up on one of the Facebook pages or something that he's put a picture up of. I've actually got them in here somewhere, but I think he did kind of a light blue, white,
Mhm.
underneath it or something. So I've seen Todd's done a Centurion too. I was trying to
Mhm.
remember how he.
I think what I'll do is I'll just take my airbrush to it and then maybe do a little bit of OSL on the ground
Right,
underneath it to make it look like there's some light shining out from underneath
right.
it. It's probably good enough. So now the next question is, when can I get 27 more of them so I can fill out my tank guards?
Well, hopefully, they're on the top of the list to go into the dual
Yes.
cast. So hopefully, once we get that all set up and going, and we're not we're running a little behind. Um, Not our fault. Waiting on other people to do things that
Mhm.
were supposed to be done 2 weeks ago. That don't seem to. Everybody doesn't work on my schedule. I don't understand it. You know,
John.
and I guess I should take into account that from now on, when anybody tells me, oh, this will be 30 days, that I just need to double
Mhm.
it,
Yeah, 60.
60. Yeah, because it just seems
Yep.
like I just every time I touch something, it just, you know, I I I think that I padded enough, and I'm like, okay, we're
Mhm.
good to go. So hopefully, we like I said, it's nothing other than just things taking more time than what it was, and we're trying to get everything put together and the system in place, and there's going to be some training and some trial and error there for a while, but we're
Yeah.
getting there. I had intended to get the new Ryoshis on too and get some 3D prints of those done, and I spent some time today with we've got a new sculptor coming on. I'm not going to say who it is right now, but he is working on an updated Warden and
Nice.
going to do the Jackal, which is
Okay.
another rock uh, vehicle. So we spent some time talking about those today, and I'm kind of very interested in his take on what they're going to be. Um, Warden is one of those that suffered from uh, let's just throw some crap together, and
Mhm.
that was done way back when, and we had used the original Metal Master when we did it in the first Kickstarter. Um, but it's got this huge, weird mounted Mac on the back of it, or
Mhm.
an M rack, and that's gonna. It just needs some changing. It just looks funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird. It has kind of a technical look to it, like a Toyota with a gun on it, but the gun is so big in it that it's
Yeah,
nobody
I've
can
I've
get
got some
behind
of
it.
those. Yeah, it would have to be a computer controlled or something,
Yeah,
absolutely. Sort of looks like something out of Rat Patrol.
yeah, something like that. So it's so anyway, it'll be the Warden B or something like that. We're not replacing the original Warden. It's going to be an updated Warden. And he had originally had been planning on doing the Jackal, and then we just got talking, and he said, "Well, he said I'd like to, since I'm working on that one and they're the same faction, let me play with the Warden a little bit and build on that to go off of that to do the Jackal." So um, so I'm looking forward to those um, showing up here.
Well, look, can I'd like to ask a behind the scenes question, and feel free to tell me, "James, I'm not answering that."
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Do you share the old file with him, the old STL, so he can look at it, or do you just have him go from
If
scratch?
we have it, we don't
Okay,
have a lot of files for the real older stuff.
okay.
Um, so we do our best to go with it. A lot of the stuff that I did today with him is I kind of scanned some things in, put with a grid
Mhm.
pattern and scaled things so he could get a better idea of where it needs to be. Because the Warden's a little underscaled too.
Right.
It needs to be. I think it's about 33 millimeters long
Mhm.
in the body, and it really should be about 34 and a half, 35 to
Okay.
scale it right. So that obviously, when you enlarge that a little bit, the whole thing does this. So it'll be a little bit bigger um, too. So to get more in line with where we're at.
So I've seen Chris Lewis's sculpting area, I guess maybe is the right way to put it. And I know he's got a fantastic collection of calves. Is it important for the other people, Mr. Buttery from Australia and this new fella, that you get them physical cab models for them to get a sense of how that works?
Not
Is
not
is that
really. I
something?
mean, if it was something that they were legitimately working off of or something like that. But it's like the Knight, the Templar Knight.
Mm-hmm.
There's no file. We can't find a file anywhere, nothing of it whatsoever. But we had one mini. I had one metal mini laying here. So before the last Kickstarter, I had Tom Buttery do the new Knight file for us. And so literally all I was able to do, I just took pictures, top, side, and all that, and sent him all these pictures of the metal mini. And he knocked out the Knight. It looks good. It's the same deal.
Sweet.
It's one of those that it didn't make it into the Kickstarter, so it allow us to. It's kind of goes around like it's got something stuck up its rear end. It's very stiff, and it's a weird kind of a look. Yeah, so
I've seen it.
Yeah, so it's one that we need to kind of adjust a little bit too. So. And I think
I'm really excited.
And I think it'll be a cool one to do kind of some weapon variants with too, that we can include in the pack like we did with the Warhawk. So I think you'll see a lot more of that type of release, especially with the CAVs, like we did with the Warhawk and the Starhawk 5. I think you'll be able to one pack you'll be able to do 2 or 3 different variants out of. So. It works out good because it lets you build the one that you want, and then it gives you some extra stuff to use down the road. So
sounds great to me. I mean, extra bits, modifications. Yeah, I love it.
So that's what we're working on towards that. But I'm really looking forward, like I said, to how he turns out with his projects. I'm hoping that he's going to have them done this month. He seems very excited about it. So
cool.
And excitement is always good.
I love excitement. It's like the actuation of hope, right?
Yes.
I hope we have great models, and then when I know we have great models, I get excited. So it's just like the next level up of hope. Well,
hopefully, like I said, everything going forward is all going to be built from scratch or updated or whatever. So, I think everything will look good. I think everything looks good to a degree. I know that sometimes my thought process on how something should look intrudes, and I'd say I'm probably 80-20. Everybody, 80% of the time they like what I do. The other 20% is what the hell was he thinking? But,
John, you sign the checks. I think you get to have.
Well, I've used that that's come up a couple of times. Well, you're intruding on my artistic. Whatever. How's that artistic paying for your rent next month?
Yep. See how many margaritas you can drive.
Exactly. See how that's going to work for you. All right. Yeah, no, then I'll do it exactly how you want it. Oh, go good. I'm glad we agreed. Glad we're on the same page.
Yep. Yeah. I think Hobby Habit has a completely rational comment in the chat.
That you need 30 of them?
I need 30 of them. I have to have.
Once they're in the dual cast, we'll load you up, man.
I'm telling you, I've already gotten the whole battalion written out, set up in the thing. I can't wait to get my hands
I have
on
3
it.
kids in college. I need everybody to buy 30 of everything.
We spent a lot of money right before the stream today too.
Yeah,
so I know the feeling.
Yeah. Oh, and it's coming due again. A new semester starting, Dad. Oh, great.
Yeah.
More checks to write. So
hurry up, dual cast.
Yes, please, dual cast. Get out the door quick. But I mean, the good thing is the boys are both doing computer stuff, and one's actually doing computer game design. So I'm hoping we're going to see a couple of CAV projects here over the next couple of years. So we've been kind of talking about some things. Yeah, it might be fun.
Fantastic.
So not going to go spill any beans or promise anything right now, but it's being talked about. And, what's better than have your kids work off their debt to you?
John, you're like a mafioso boss.
You got,
That little
I
money you
got this
borrowed, and as
problem.
your
I need you to
yes,
fix this for me.
need you to fix this
Yeah,
problem.
what the hell, you guys? So I don't know that it will be a CAV video game. I think that it'll be something. We'll start out small. You'll start seeing little things, and maybe we can build into something. All right, next topic. Where was I going? Losing my mind in a short trip.
Flashpoint?
Yeah.
Uh, Save that for later.
No, that's good. And I think we've talked a little bit about it in the past, and we didn't have a whole lot of preparation for tonight because we weren't 100% sure James was going to be here. So
Barely got here.
so I was kind of going to play it by ear anyway. Tell a bunch of jokes, but that's right now. That's the main push is where we are. The JOR and the Flashpoint. The JOR is dragging right now because of art. There's just so much art that has to be done for it, and painted miniatures for the way that we decided to do it. And we kind of changed the format over the last 3 or 4 months. So we're trying to play catch up with that, and I can only crack the whip so hard to get stuff done. Actually, but my part of JOR, I'm in pretty good shape for. But so that goes back to the Flashpoint, and let me explain again what the Flashpoint is. I'm accessing my random memory here. My RAM work RAM work. The Flashpoints are going to be how we advance the game, as opposed to all these big books and technical readouts and all that kind of stuff that people are kind of used to. The Flashpoints are going to set up the game, the advancement of the game. So what we basically do is we pick a time in the game, and what is the main event that's going on right there at that time, and that's a Flashpoint. So everything revolves around that theme. So the first Flashpoint is the Rock are upping their game and attacking the Terrans. They're coming across the border rather than just their occasional little fight and raid. They're coming full bore. So the Flashpoint is going to explain that. And the other thing the Flashpoint does is allows us to flesh out some of the background information. So there'll be a section in the first Flashpoint of the Terrans and the Rock that kind of explain how we briefly touch things in the rule book and talk about it or whatever, but now we're going in and filling out those in between the blanks. As opposed to the 2 or 3 paragraphs that advance you through 300 years, here's what's happened. Here's how we got from A to B to C. It'll also be kind of a mini campaign. There'll be scenarios that you can play and things that you can do and stuff that goes along with some of the stuff, like the system that I've put up that kind of leads you through the games, through the missions and different things. One of the things that comes up in the Flashpoints are planets, things that are in that area that we want to talk about, and one of those is a planet that is kind of Egyptian themed. And that's where a lot of this current terrain that I'm being, yes, everything will always be written from the Terran point of view. Well, not necessarily the Terran point of view, but as from a Terran understanding, from a Terran observer. Yeah. Yes. Well, you'll understand everybody's the reason why they do this or why they think this or whatever. So we're not going to let the Terrans do their version of, but it'll be from a Terran perspective, just so that it's easier for people to understand. I tried to write everything from a, truly go alien and go from their perspective. Everybody go, what the hell am I reading? And they may do that anyway, but we'll see. So the good thing about these is the first Flashpoint we're releasing free of charge. There's no cost involved. It's going to be all inclusive and have everything out there, but it's electronic. It'll be a PDF, and then as after it's out, we will continue adding material to that Flashpoint. So that Flashpoint will grow from its initial deal. Then we'll move along through the timeline or whatever to the next Flashpoint. And I know that the next one is already kind of got the bare bones, and it's more of a Adenese Ritter Amethyl perspective. And that will be our first official, as far as one that you would pay for. So hopefully you like the first one and go, oh, these are really great, what we're doing. But again, these will grow. So, and you'll just pay the first fee. So whatever they end up selling for, $9.99 or whatever, there's nothing to pay for later until a new Flashpoint comes out. And we'll add stuff to the existing Flashpoint. So they'll grow even beyond what they are. So, but that's a big chunk of the scenarios and some of the thought processes around this Egyptian world. And so that's why the big push, it's going to be my desert board is going to be the convention board for this year, if we make it to any shows or whatever. But this will also, I plan on doing a lot more photography for these. So after we get them set up, we'll be able to set models up and, take little action shots and give you more of a, realistic look as to involving the minis and terrain and everything like that. So, well, the good thing is the first one, you won't even have to throw any money at. Once we get it done, I know that I keep, it's coming. And then something else gets in the way. And I really, really thought I was so close. I thought I was going to be, that it was going to be out the door in December, but between dual cast and everything else, and I didn't get as far on the board, the terrain that I wanted to get. So my push is hopefully this month. Hopefully this will be the month that it'll be finished. So all the minis are painted up for it, everything like that. Just finishing, getting everything laid out and everything there. So every time I think that, this is the day I'm going to be, I'm doing it all day, Flashpoint, working on it all day. And then everybody else goes, oh, you thought you were going to do something today. Let me show you that you're not. I hate these.
That's the way life works.
It does. So anyway, so that's what the Flashpoints are. So I think everybody will enjoy them, and it'll be something that kind of a living document, I guess, is grow as they go. And then eventually, as the rules of engagement comes out, we'll start adding stuff out of there to go along with what's in the rules of engagement book too. There'll be little tie-ins there for that. Anyway, so any questions anybody has at the moment that I can, or just something you want me to talk about? We're kind of free forming it tonight. As long as it's not politics or religion, I'm game. So I've had enough of that today.
Yeah, the world is full of that stuff.
Yeah.
Need more CAV and less politics.
More make believe.
Yes, way more make believe.
So, of course, we make believe war.
Yeah,
it is. It's what it is.
But it's just make believe at that point.
So the Rock occupied Terra and win the CAV universe, correct? Probably not. I wouldn't
Probably
worry
not.
about going that far. So luckily, the
So,
Terrans are
uh,
much better prepared this time.
mhm. Yeah. So I'm real curious to see what prompts the Rock to take this kind of rash move. I mean, the A to E's are still out there. I
They
don't think they've gotten any
they
weaker.
are the Raidenese is still out there. That was always kind of the Terran or the Rock. That was kind of the only thing that pulled them back last time and has kept them from going. So obviously something has happened that the Rock feel like that they can get away with right now.
Hmm.
I don't know that the Rock are desperate. I think that maybe there's some individual Rock that are having some problems. I think that the Rock are advancing as far as their outlook on the
Hmm.
galaxy has certainly been influenced by the last 100 years and being around other people and certainly not having the ability to do whatever they want to do. And um, the Rock system has always been good for them from the standpoint as it gave them something to focus on, and
Hmm.
this is what we worried about, and this is how we did it. But it's not that anymore. They have a lot of outside influences, a lot of outside things that are happening, and you get some Rock that just like any other political system, you get some that don't like the way it is and want to take advantage of this or change this or whatever.
Hmm.
So there's some internal issues going on there as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I imagine rock politics must be insane.
Yes.
I mean, just people, just extremes. I imagine they argue extremes.
Well, you
They don't understand.
you have an entire society that is based around your ability as a warrior. It's not your ability to lead. It's not your
Hmm.
ability to make good decisions. It's your ability to
Hmm.
fight. Now, sometimes you look out and you get guys that are good at fighting are good at leaders, but you get a lot
Hmm.
of ones that don't, and you have a case system that they're at the top of, and everybody else has to flow around that. And
Hmm.
it's you can challenge anybody. I mean, a Rock that he thinks that he wants to be a general. He can challenge the general, and their version of to advance. I
Hmm.
mean, even to take over a clan. Um,
Hmm.
but you have to have before you do that, you have to make sure you have the support. So even if you go in and you're the new kid on the block and you walk in one day and go, I'm ready to take over this clan, and get everything set up. That's all fine and dandy. You go in and you kill the clan leader, and oh, lo and behold, you get to take over the clan. But then the other 30 guys that were friends with the original clan leader, because you didn't
Hmm.
get everybody on the same page here. So
Hmm. Yeah, must be a very violent, volatile, quickly flowing
it
system.
is, and that's part of the emperor has always been able to control that to a degree. Um, and they have always respected that position because of their thought process and everything like that. But he's kind of lost his luster with everybody, with the fact that they're not doing what they should be doing, or so they have to deal with that too. All right, so we got some questions here. Uh, is the top of the space elevator a reasonable HQ for a Principality regiment? Um, well, A, if it has a space elevator, you're not automatically always going to have a space elevator. Um, but I would imagine that they could have some kind of HQ there, or where the officers are. I would think that they would want to be more involved with the people, but you never know. Um, Not to mention that probably one of the first things that gets taken out is the space elevator. So that may not always be the best. They want to be deep underground, because it's something that wouldn't be very easy to protect if somebody came in strong enough with an aero, a space force. Let's see. Terrans owe the Rock $3.50. The Terrans owe them a lot more than that. Um, Rock are essentially warlords, right? Might makes right, and leadership only. Yes, pretty much so. They are trying to think of the right term. There's a term that reflects a warrior society, a government, a system that's, and just because I'm trying to think of it, I've only had to write about it a
I don't
dozen
know.
times, but there's actually a form of government that is based on your ability as a warrior, and that's we've had them to a degree through time. Um, I just can't think of the exact term right now, so. Let's see. Adon's principalities are listed as having the one space elevator on the homeworld. Yes, there are. There are. I think there's actually maybe two space elevators on it. Adon probably has more than the actual planet. Probably has more one. I know that there's a mention and talk of one in there. The the um, the main thing to remember though is the the different nations on Adon are still independent. They are confederation in the way that they work. So obviously, if a space elevator is at this particular one or whatever, everybody would have access to it um, through their deal or whatever. Because most of your space elevators have to be built along the equator. That's not something that you can just randomly decide. Oh, we want to have a space elevator. We're going to put a space elevator here. So, because of distance and the way a planet spins, and there's a lot of factors that you have to take into. So it's not like you can have a porcupine kind of a deal. So everybody's got to kind of work with that. Um, it would become kind of like I was trying to think of what would be an Earth type equivalent that would be something that's available for more than it's kind of like the Panama Canal. It's controlled by somebody, but it's such an important part of commerce and everything like that in all their treaties and everything like that, that's taken into account that everybody gets to use that as long as everybody's getting along, of course.
The Suez Canal might be an even better
Yeah.
example. That's a lot of oil that goes through that place.
Yes, exactly. And actually, I thought of the Suez as well. Panama was closest to us,
Yeah.
so a little Western Hemisphere preference
Bias.
bias. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. That's where we are.
Yep. Um. So yeah, so probably on the Adenese homeworld, I doubt that they would probably put any kind of military HQ up in the space elevator, and I would imagine probably it's on there that hell they may have 4 or 5 space elevators. There's no telling. I know that they talk about them a little bit in the book, but as we flesh stuff out, as old as they are and the technology and stuff, that's pretty much going to be that's the access to everything up there, because it's just so much easier and cheaper to ship everything up the cable up to the top. So
Up the gravity
yeah,
well. Yeah. So let me ask a question about language barriers. So, I mean, CAV is a fairly sophisticated, high tech universe. Um, Do we have the ability in CAV to for a person, like just an individual, to be able to have some sort of device that will translate Adenese and Malvernon and Rock and Terran all back and forth across each other so that
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't realize this, and it's got a long way to go. But there's
Mhm,
actually an app that you can put on your phone,
mhm,
and if you're, let's say, you're in the Ukraine, and you don't understand Ukrainian, you can take that app, have that person speak into that phone. You can hold the phone up there, and they say what they're, and then you turn it around and hit a button, and that phone converts it into your language so that
mhm.
it reads back to you. So we're kind of on the cusp of that already. Um,
Okay.
so
So
take it
that's
hundreds of years in the future, and
yeah,
yeah, it's
it's a standard tech.
yeah, it's not going to be, you're not dragging a C3PO around with you,
Right.
but I would think that there would be translator boxes or something like that, or some kind of a head thing. Who knows? I mean,
Mhm.
I'm sure
So
there's
so
multiple versions.
so a Terran news team that happened to be in a place where there were Adenese and Malvernans talking, arguing, debating, whatever. As a Terran viewer of that news feed, I would hear the translated Adenese and Malvernon languages directly into my own speech as much as
Right,
possible.
right. Yes, and
Okay.
if they allowed you to do that, if they're arguing about something they don't want you to hear about, that could be a
Oh,
situation too. But yeah, no, and that's one of the things too, that the the Terrans, the Templar, um, the Adenese, the Ritter, to an extent, the Malvernans and the Amethyl a little bit. There's quite a bit
mhm,
of interchanging now as far as merchant abilities and
okay,
embassies, and there's a lot of that going on. Um, the Templars, especially with the the things that they do with the mercenary companies and commerce and everything like that. They're very their offices are everywhere
mhm,
because the Templars are kind of set up just like they were back in medieval times, um, with letters of credit. Back
right,
when they very first started out, you could go into a Templar castle or their base or whatever in France and give them 1,000 gold pieces, and they would write you out a letter in their special Templar code that you could take that letter, tuck it into your shirt, go to Jerusalem, go into the
mhm,
Templar office there, hand them that letter, and they would give you 1,000 gold pieces. So that's a system that they have in place. So they're kind of um, have taken on some of the roles with as
mhm.
that goes. The Adenese have a lot of
Okay,
control over the jump gates, so they've had that's
right.
kind of interspersed there too. So
So I could go to the Templars with a cav, give them my cav, go to Adon, go to Adenese space, go to the Templar thing, and get a cav.
no,
Ah, come on,
no,
John.
it wouldn't go that. But you could go in there and sell your calf to the Templars, and they would give you a letter
Right.
of credit, and you could take that money. And if that calf happened to be available in Adenese, that's where it's going to be. So, and like I said, with um, the mercenaries, and there's a lot of things um, that Terra has had quite an influence on the galaxy as it
Mhm,
stands now. There's things um, that they had in to some degree, but not to the extent of that we've had. They've had a lot of one government, kind of a lot longer than we have or have at that point. But they've had a lot longer to become more of a one, But there's a lot of the mentalities that the Terrans have towards corporations and
mhm.
commerce and mercenaries, and so much of that's kind of rolled out into the rest of the galaxy, and so different things are starting to interspersed with that, you have lots of independent worlds, especially in Adenese and Terran space. Lots and lots of independent worlds. So there's lots of things there down the road that we can see. So, but
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, there's just, and it's one of those things you can sit down and you can talk, and I mean, you know, if you ask me a specific question, I've got kind of an idea on some of those things and can extend to them. But you know, trying to get that, you know, really get all that information put down, you know, there's a reason why that a certain mech game has 350 books.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so give us 25 years. Something that is also, I've got to double check on all the numbers, but 2021 is the 20th anniversary of CAV this year.
Really? I
Yeah,
didn't know
CAV
that.
will be
2001.
Yeah, 2001 was the original release of CAV 1. I think officially. We started working on it at the end of in the 90s, but I think the official release was 2001. So so CAV is 20 years old this year. Officially. So 20th anniversary.
I'm excited to see what happens for the 20th anniversary.
Well, you
Giant
know,
celebration. Come on now.
I want to do something. We've just got so much else going on right now that it's just another, you know, I was just thinking
Gotta do something
earlier today. I mean, we're 3.5 months away from our virtual CavCon, so I've got to start getting a little more motivated on getting that stuff moving ahead too. So that it doesn't come down.
But what's the date for virtual Capcom?
I think we have kind of settled on the last weekend of March. I think that's what we talked about last show, wasn't it, that we did that?
Yep. I believe so, yeah.
The 26th, 27th, and 28th of March.
Right.
And that's 90% official. I think one of the things I've kind of let that date simmer for a little bit in case something comes up. Somebody, oh no, you can't do this date because this is already happening or something. So, so I think it's all good. So, and then as far as this version of CAV, this would be our 6th year. I think the first Kickstarter was 2015. God, seems like ancient times. Yeah. It was. Yep. And then the rule book released 2016. So we did the rule book came out about a year after the first Kickstarter. So I guess this is our 5th anniversary. Cav Strike Op. Yeah. No, it's Cav's been around for a while. It's unfortunate that it hasn't had the same steam that we've had here as of late over the last 20 years. It'd be, I think, a little different where we are in the mainstream, but it is what it is. So all we can do is go forward from here.
Sure.
And I think moving away from the Kickstarters one. The Kickstarters
will be exciting.
They were good and bad. Mm-hmm. So, all right. I could see Cav Google Translate getting it wrong and starting a war. I can see Google starting a lot of wars. So there's all kinds of things in the deal. All these, you know, it's funny that, you know, the in the original Cav, of course, there were all the big corporations, the mega cores or something. I forget what we called them in the original game. But I kind of took that away. I moved away from that because it was applying a lot of Terran mentality to the other factions that wouldn't necessarily have that. So, and I thought that it was cooler to move the big corporations kind of in the Terran uh, as part of their universe. As far as there's kind of that, you've got kind of a three-peat kind of a thing going on in the Terrans. As you have the Federation, which is the main government and everything like that. Then you have all these corporations and their fingers and everything like that, not necessarily in conjunction with the main Terran government. And then you have lots of independent worlds. The further you get away from the capital, the less control that Terra has and wanted. So, would corporations fill their own CAV units? Yes, they would. Matter of fact, you can actually, in the rules of engagement campaign system, you can actually play as a corporate security force. Again, you've got, especially in the Terran spaces, you have worlds that are controlled by the corporations. So they are responsible for defending those planets. So they have that from pirates or whatnot. There is, corporations have a little bit of zing and dig at each other. I mean, you could write an entire game and do nothing but spend the next 50 years in dealing with just the Terran politics. I mean, it is in of itself, it's a whole bubbling cauldron of things going on there. So, but
makes me want to.
But yeah, like I said, they would have their own CAV forces, either as planetary defense forces, as facilities. They have these big. I think one of the scenarios that got put out, I forget which one, is kind of resolves around a Terran corporation was working on some kind of a deal, and mercenaries have taken it over, and the Terrans are trying to take it back. I'll have to look it up, but it's the second or third one that I released. But, and again, you have levels of corporations. You have the mega ones at the top, like Mitsutal and Skyrim and stuff like that. So, and you get into Ritter and you get into Adenese. I mean, they have corporations too, companies and everything, but they don't have nearly when Terra fell or almost fell to the rock, you had an entire area of the universe basically collapse in on itself. There was no central government. There was no anything like that. That it took them time to build back and get around. And if the government did not have the Adenese backing them up at the time, it would have been even worse. But you have a whole period of time there that you had all these worlds that were pretty much on their own. There wasn't anybody there. The Terrans were focused on keeping Earth alive, and pushing the rock back. So you had a whole period of time there that it was just anarchy with pirates. So pirates are a big thing. Really, that's where the mercenary market really came from, is because all these worlds were looking for protection, and so you had remnants of units that became mercenary that had to, or there's, like I said, the stuff that just goes on in Terran space would be you could mess with for 50 years and not get it all. Which is cool because that allows us a lot of latitude in, hey, let's do this story. Let's go over here and pick this and do something for that. So I think that'll be cool. Went ahead.
And of course, all the other factions are actually just as complicated in their own right.
In their own way, their own deal. I mean, there's the Malvernans. I mean, there's just so much there too that's going to be fun down the road. And again, these just like The Rock, everybody is evolving. They're having to evolve based upon
Mm-hmm.
interactions and what goes on around them now. You know, um, that's one of the, like I said, we talked about that before. The Malvernans probably have more in common with the Terrans than any other factions, based strictly off of the fact that they think our our god is Cardulus, just in a
Mm-hmm.
different form. And he appeared to us this way. So they have a kind of a religious connection there that they've added to and stuff like that. But you've got almost this level of like the Catholic Church during the Inquisition. There's a
Mm-hmm.
level of religious control there that oversees the entire country. But then you have the regular Malvernans down here. You have Malvernans that don't necessarily believe in Malvernans, that do their own thing. So there's that. There's intersperse of people that's come across. There's Adenese worlds along the border with Ritter that Ritter expatriates have come across. To now live on an Adenese world because they wanted to get away from this militaristic version that Ritter currently is. So you're starting to see a lot more of that. You're starting to see these communities of different people showing up on other worlds. So you really don't have it so much in the Terran and Templar space because we don't necessarily share any direct borders. But Adenese and Ritter and Malvernans have known each other the longest and have been around each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're starting to see some intersperse there going on too. So that's one of the, once you get as big as, once you're an interstellar empire, it's very hard to be, you can't be overly centralized. There's a lot of stuff that you have no control over. You can put somebody in charge of a planet, 50 light years away, but, if they're not set up or something happens or whatever, by the time you find out about it or whatever, it's already a done deal. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Got about 5 minutes left,
We
roughly.
do. Anybody have any further questions or just things they want to throw out there or that we can talk about? I think the main part that I want to, I really want to get more writers involved in the CAV universe.
Mm-hmm.
Been trying to put more stuff together, and work with that. I've got a couple of guys that are working on a couple of things. So, that's something I'm looking forward to. I think as we get more people involved in building that universe, I think that you'll get new other ideas, people that look at something different than I would not necessarily look at. So I'm hoping that I can get some more people like that come to me and say, listen, would this happen? Is this something that you can see? How would this work in your deal? And we can give and take a little bit and then turn them loose. Let them go out and do their stuff. So hopefully in the future we will have that ability to have more people involved. I know that I'm working with a bunch of new artists too. So.
You said a bunch.
A bunch.
You mentioned one sculptor earlier. Is there something going on we don't know
Well,
about?
I have artists that have been working on different people. Art is a never ending thing here. We buy art and commission art constantly. It just gets stored. It goes into a file and it's ready there when we need it. There's art that's being worked on for covers, specific things, and everything like that. I mean, we've got the covers for the JOR and the rules of engagement, already the artwork for those. And again, if you are an aspiring artist, and that's something you want to try your hand at, please let me know. Get a contact, because we are always, always, always on the market for good art, especially if it's for, created for CAV, with CAV in mind. That's always cool. Whether and it doesn't always have to be combat stuff. It can be. There's lots of stuff out there that you can draw pictures of that you can tie into CAV, into a sci-fi universe. So, but we are always, always on the lookout for that. Same thing with writing. If you want to take a stab at something at writing, or somebody that wants to, it's a little harder, because I don't want to spend as much time editing something as it would have been just as easy for me to write it. So, you need to kind of have a level of ability there. But if there's something that you want to take a shot at, or do stuff like that, short stories, things like that, we can always figure out something to work into somewhere. So, nose started itching.
Yeah, mine too. It's dry weather.
So I guess I'm drying out.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're down to the last 3 minutes. Come on, somebody shoot me something else to talk about. Give me another one to talk about. So, what is a something a burning question that you have about CAV that maybe you're working on or thinking about or going on? It's if you haven't been painting anything, put some painted miniature pictures up. Dropship update. Yep. The dropship is, we are, I think 2 weeks ago, I said in 2 weeks. So we are 99% there. It's right now, it's just been time. It's just time to get everything set up. We still don't have, we tore all the printers down, and we don't have all the printers hooked back up. That's part of it. Some of it we're kind of looking at now with the new dual cast, that we might have the ability to do some of the stuff in dual cast as well. And that might be, so we're kind of looking at different ways still of doing things.
John, I'll come up and mow your grass if that helps. Just let me know.
No, it's not. I've got 2 strapping college boys for that kind of stuff. It's just, if you knew how to run 3D printers and come up here and got it all hooked back up and took the file and started playing with it and working out all the, then we would be on track. So that would help immensely. Because like I said, I could sit down and work for 2 weeks right now, just to do nothing but get the drop ship going up and ready. But hopefully we will have a better update of that pretty soon. Like I said, it is 99% there. The files are done. They're ready to print. There's, we're still going to look around how we're going to do some things, either with dual cast or on some of the bigger parts, maybe some resin. I don't know. We're looking at different things to be able, because one of the things that gets in the way of that is the fact that we're not going to be able to, we're not making 500 of them. If we were looking at a larger industrial scale, there's a lot of things that would be easier to do, ways to do it, but because of the way that we are going to do them, it would just be too expensive, too cost prohibitive to try to do that. What CAV could a Simba take in a one-on-one fight? Well, if you really look at it, there's probably a lot. You never know if you're a lucky shot, especially with it's got a pretty good set of lasers on it, that it can definitely punch a hole, and it's got good heavy armor and stuff like that. So I have had a lot of fun playing with the Mastodon, as Chris has been working on that on Saturday. we are we need to have a conversation here in a day or two over. There's some of the weapons I'm not real wild about how they're going right now. But I think body wise and everything is going in the right direction, and we'll have the Mastodon. There'll be the Mammoth, which will be a variant of it, and then I put up the Elephant, which will be kind of a fun one-off with the extra heavy Mac gun on it. So,
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
All right, well, guys, we have reached the end of the road. So if you have Spotify, please find Gene Autry and put the happy trails to you. So anyway, so we're going to get off here, and I hope the rest of your week is great. Happy New Year to everybody. And Saturday, Chris will be continuing with the Mastodon, Mammoth, Elephant. Hopefully we'll get close to being done with that one. And then next Monday, James will be back working on the Cossack. And then Tuesday night, I will be back with more terrain, more desert terrain. So I think next week I plan on working on the Oasis. I'm going to build an Oasis for it. And so you'll see a little water work in there. And also the plaza that's going to go on there with the statues and everything that we kind of talked about. So that'll be something new that will work as far as so you don't have to watch me dry brush again for an hour. So anyway, so good night, have fun, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye.